Coming up,
That's a lot of time.
the kindness of many around the world help a 9-year-old through her latest recovery. A familiar face is recognized as the Citizen of the Year. And September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We'll show you the local tribute that took place at Legion Field. We'll have these stories and more coming up on the Bridgewater Review. Thank you for watching our September 28th edition of the program. I'm John Luck.
And I'm Scott Olson. Women across the nation staged walkouts in support of Dr. Christine Blasey Ford on September 24th. Ford is one of 2 women to accuse Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. On the screen are some of the faces of women who took a minute to stand in solidarity with Ford on Monday. They include Town Clerk Marilee Kinney Hunt and Councilor Aisha Loesch. Residents from Massachusetts, California, Nebraska, and Illinois also share their photos with us.
See all this?
Yeah.
It's all for you.
What?
It's all for you. What do you think?
That's a lot of time.
Can't see that video enough. A few months ago, Bridgewater Mom launched an extremely successful social media campaign. Kelly tried to ask residents to send cards as a way to cheer up her daughter after surgery. And responses came in from all over, proving that a simple gesture can make a world of difference. Cards and gifts were sent from around town and around the world to raise the spirits of a 9-year-old Bridgewater girl. Mary Alice Trida has been in and out of hospitals for most of her life. 2 broken hips, 3 surgeries, a hole in her heart, more than 20 x-rays, more than 30 visits to an orthopedic specialist, and more. A few weeks ago, Mary Alice underwent a serious knee operation that put her in a cast for nearly 2 months. The operation took place just 5 days after Mary Alice's 9th birthday. Over the past few months, Kelly Trida organized a card shower for her daughter on Facebook, and the response was quite a surprise.
I would say 95% of these cards and packages are from people that we've never met. We don't know. They're from around the world, around the country. We've hit 50 states, upwards of 25 countries now, and the outpouring is amazing. We're grateful. I thought we would have some cards from my friends that I've known forever, which we do, which is amazing. And the Facebook page just kind of took off. People shared it. They shared it like crazy. And every time I went to the post office, just piles of cards, packages. It was crazy.
Gifts, snacks, jewelry, a lot of stickers, and of course cards led to a great day for a 9-year-old going through a difficult time, making this social media effort a resounding success.
I've never seen so many cards in my life.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. This makes recovery a little more fun. This makes recovery, this gives us some activities to do. Just thank you so much to the entire community. We've only been in Bridgewater for a year, so to have this kind of outpouring, so many of these cards are just from local area. So this is tremendous. So thank you.
Just a few days after the card unveiling, Mary Alice signed a letter of commitment with Stonehill's field hockey team through the Team Impact organization, which matches up kids with chronic diseases and conditions with sports teams. The commitment is for 2 years, but you can see that Mary Alice has made some friendships that will certainly last a lot longer.
Certainly a great story there. Absolutely excellent. And another great story is the Soup Man in Bridgewater, now that he has been named one of the Rotary Club Citizens of the Year, as a matter of fact.
Peter Kelleher was inspired to assist the homeless after losing his son to addiction back in 2016. He began delivering homemade soup weekly to the homeless population around Brockton and later asked for the community's help with collecting cold weather gear. The response was overwhelming, to say the least.
Absolutely. And to support for the Superman received enough support to become a nonprofit. In the past year, Keller and his team put together backpacks full of donations from the community and area businesses. They organized weekly bag lunches throughout the summer and fall. They are currently looking at nearly 300 paper bags that were decorated with positive thoughts and pictures by Dory Kelly's 8th grade class.
Lucini Bus Lines recently donated the school bus and Ocean State Job Lots is planning to fill it with donations. Peter will be recognized for his contribution to the community at a reception in East Bridgewater coming up on October 22nd.
The man who attacked a jogger last summer was indicted on charges of kidnapping indecent assault and battery, and reckless operation of a motor vehicle. You may remember this video showing 58-year-old Gordon Lyons trying to abduct a woman jogging on Pleasant Street. After the woman struggled to fight off Lyons, he got back in his car and drove off recklessly, almost causing an accident. Lyons eventually crashed on Route 24 and was arrested. Records show that he has faced other charges in the past, including assault with intent to rape, assault and battery, robbery, and more. Lyons will be due back in Brockton Superior Court to face the charges from the June incident at a later date. Councilors are hoping to hold a special meeting with State Senator Mark Pacheco and State Representative Angelo D'Amelia. The purpose of the meeting will be for public and local department heads to voice their concerns and ask questions of the elected officials.
And be able to, talk to the two people that are going to be very influential in helping us gain additional resources that we woefully need, as well as the public being able to address the concerns, as I was going to say, that we hear either at a meeting or we hear out in the public, and to get their feedback, not only in what is going on, but maybe to get them to commit to some things that we can expect them to deliver on in Bridgewater.
An invitation, but this meeting won't take place until November 13th, or a date that all parties can agree on.
The town clerk's office is opening early voting on October 22nd. This is an opportunity for all registered voters who won't be in town on Election Day. You can vote at the Academy Building at the times on your screen. Election Day in Massachusetts is on November 6th. And it's going to take place at Bridgewater Middle School from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The last day to register to vote is October 17th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
The efforts of some local seamstresses are making a difference around the world. Several girls from communities across Uganda have received dresses sewn by volunteers in Bridgewater's chapter of Dress a Girl. The girls were seen wearing their new outfits in a post by one of the Mandela scholars that visited Bridgewater last summer. She says, quote, "They were so happy to be dressed by your wonderful hands and souls. We are very proud of your actions that continue to inspire us." A mayor from a small town in Uganda is actually visiting Bridgewater as of this recording and will be bringing 20 dresses back to her village.
September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Local nonprofit Angels in America once again painted the town gold and hosted several vigils to honor those with cancer and remember the lives lost. Alicia Forden picks up the story.
In 2015, an estimated 10,380 under the age of 15 will be diagnosed with cancer. That's approximately 28 kids every day. On June 11th, 2011, I became a statistic in one of those 28 kids.
Dylan Berrio is 10 years old and has had cancer for most of his young life. Diagnosed at 3.5 with 3 brain tumors, he's always loved Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars. So much so, he wanted to share that joy with others, collecting and distributing over 20,000 cars to children across America. Dylan was one of the participants in Bridgewater's Childhood Cancer Vigil at Legion Field. This annual event has become part of the town's Go Gold for Childhood Awareness, an initiative his mom, Dawn, helps organize with residents Lisa Bazell-Curley and Paul Laporte.
It started with an idea of gold bulbs, and then it kind of expanded into making the town go gold. So we were doing Middleborough and Bridgewater. We just put up ribbons around the center in hopes that people would ask what they're for, and we can bring some light to childhood cancer, because a lot of people think it's rare, and it really isn't, and there's a huge lack of funding.
The research goes mainly to older people, and then they just do a reduced amount of chemo or process for the children, which isn't helping them because it's not fighting the actual cancers that they may have.
Less than 4% goes to childhood cancer.
Hence, this year's slogan, More Than 4.
We just went with that simple phrase so that people would hopefully say, what does more than 4 mean? And then we can inform them.
In 4 years, the initiative has grown to include 12 towns and 2 vigils in September. Though Bridgewater's event was smaller than years past, it was no less powerful.
The average number of years lost to childhood cancer is 71. 71 years, all stolen away.
Shannon, forever 8. Jesse, forever 7. Haley, forever 8. Mary, forever 8. Cole, forever 5.
I look forward to the day where there will be a cure, and no child will have to go through this.
If you'd like to participate in next year's Go Gold or any of Angels in America's projects, you can search for the nonprofit on Facebook.
When we return, from BR to BC, a local legend gets the call to the hall.
And time is running out for this document in dire need of preservation. Find out how you can help next.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Hey, Fozzie, it's really nice out here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Well, I think I got something. Yeah, Kermit, I got... Kermit? That's the 3rd can I caught today. How'd those things get in there?
Well, people sometimes wander by and just toss stuff into the water.
Well, don't they understand how important clean water is to fish in and to swim in and to make a decent glass of lemonade with?
Yeah, we all forget sometimes. Water is something we have to conserve and keep clean.
Sounds easy enough.
You know, if you'd like some free tips from my friends at the National Wildlife Federation on how you can use water wisely, write to Kermit, National Wildlife Federation, Washington, D.C. 20036.
Who are you talking to?
As students are settling back into their academic routines, they're also seeing heightened security. Officials at Bridgewater Rainham Regional High School are now enforcing a rule that they'd been lenient on in years past. Starting in October, students will be required to wear their student IDs in a visible place. Principal Angela Watson tells the Bridgewater Independent that this is for everybody's safety. With about 1,500 students in the building, not all teachers nor the principal knows all 1,500 students. A reminder that if you'd like us to promote your student or an event at your school, you can email aforden@btvaccess.com or jluck@btvaccess.com.
I'm sure it's going to wake all our viewers that are watching us at 5 a.m. up. That's awesome. Tow trucks, milk trucks, fire trucks, and even the BTV truck were on display for the 2nd annual Touch a Truck held at Bridgewater State University's Spring Street lot. Kids got to honk the horns, as you probably heard, throughout town that day, and learn about some of the inner workings of those trucks. The day was presented by Angels in America and Bridgewater Auto Body. Many trucks were in the parking lot, but the message of the day was simple: slow down and move over.
So Angels in America is a 501c3 nonprofit, which means that your donations to us are tax deductible. Our mission statement is making America stronger, providing hope and encouragement, one good deed at a time. And we do that by helping people in need and doing random acts of kindness.
Every week there's a tow truck driver hit or killed out on the highway. And a big part of our mission is to make awareness. We all want to go home at night to our families. 1 in 6 drivers are killed in the line of duty every week out there. So we need to make some more awareness and try to get people to slow down and move over for us.
Tunes that were played for everyone to hear, including Ghostbusters, and I had a chance to talk to the Ghostbusters cosplay that were there for the day.
We started a little cosplay group a few years ago called the Bridgewater Triangle Ghostbusters, because if you ever look into that, there's a lot of paranormal history around here. And we grew up around here. So a few weeks ago we were at Park Day in West Bridgewater, and the one of the ladies who runs this asked if we could come down and just hang out, because they thought the kids would love it. So we're like, yeah, of course, why not? And so far it's been a really good time. I've always had a interest in the paranormal. I know a lot of people who actually do some paranormal investigating, so it's always been very interesting, and just the history, when you look into the Bridgewater Triangle, has always been very interesting. There's actually a movie about the Bridgewater Triangle. I have not seen it yet, and I kind of hate admitting that, because I really want to watch it, but I've always found it very fascinating.
You're looking at home video from Alumni Stadium at Chestnut Hill as former BR Trojan football player Mark Colombo was inducted into the Boston College Varsity Club Hall of Fame. Colombo was one of 8 former Eagles to be inducted in this year's class, and his former high school coach Dan Buren was in attendance. Colombo was a first-round draft pick that spent time with the Chicago Bears, Dallas Cowboys, and Miami Dolphins.
Well, coming up on October 20th at the Academy Building at 9:30 in the morning, the Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect will be holding a workshop about bystanders, and I have Beryl Domingo here joining me today to talk a little bit about the workshop. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
So for people that are interested in this workshop, what can they expect?
Well, first of all, what is a bystander? And oftentimes people think of it as a witness. It's somebody who sees something, and most commonly is when you're witnessing an accident, right? And somebody says, oh, what did you see? And you describe what you've seen. So an active bystander is actually somebody who sees something, and usually it's something that they feel is unfair or wrong or inappropriate, and they do something about it. So this is an active bystander. So there are sort of bystanders, and then there's active bystanders. Most folks are bystanders because we all have witnessed situations and incidents where we feel somewhat uncomfortable with the content or what's happening in front of our eyes. We're not always sure what to do. So this training helps to firstly explore your own feelings about witnessing things.
The great thing about this workshop is the fact that you can take what you learn in this workshop coming up on October 20th, and you can use it not just in Bridgewater, but you can go out of town and you can have situations like this as well. Now this is a partnership, I believe, with Quabbin Medication from Orange. You're working with them. Can you just explain their role in this?
So Quabbin Mediation is an organization that's been around at least a decade. They're located in Orange, Mass, so they're serving the entire Massachusetts Commonwealth. They started out, I think, initially working with families and individuals on sort of mediation when you have, say, a divorce situation. Couples can go there to mediate, conflict resolution, but they've expanded their work to reach much broader audiences. They work with groups in towns, communities, in schools, anti-bullying programs they've established, and they've done that in schools. Now the community, this bystander training piece came about when communities began to contact them and say, you know, you do this anti-bullying stuff in schools and you do all this other kinds of trainings. Can you do trainings in communities where ordinary people want to know how to respond to a situation that they feel is just really wrong or just really inappropriate? Because people have begun to see more and more of these incidents over time. This is not new. And so Quabbin developed a curriculum, and it's a peer training. So basically they train people from the community to do the training with communities people. And they feel that makes it more real because you can bring examples and issues and scenarios that really make sense for the community that you're in. And they've actually done a training for trainers for us. So we now have a hub for the southeastern Massachusetts. We have trainers that can actually conduct these workshops. Quabbin Mediation is the owner of the curriculum, so anybody who does the training actually is working as a volunteer in this capacity for them. And the training that we're going to do in October will actually be conducted by 2 residents of Bridgewater.
So if anybody's interested in taking part in this workshop, is there anybody they need to contact, or is it just kind of a show up at the Academy building type of situation?
Oh, yes. No, they have to register. This training is actually, there's an online registration, and it's the online registration then registers with Quabbin, and they'll know how many people have registered. And the trainers will also then know how many people have registered. And there's a limit. We have 35 is the limit for the training, and it is at the Academy building. Beautiful setting for a nice training. It's on a Saturday morning, so we think a lot more people will be available, can utilize the training. So definitely register and register early because there is a space limit.
We'll have the full interview with Beryl about the active bystander training session coming up after the program. If you'd like to register for the workshop coming up on October 20th, you can do so by visiting the link on your screen. And for more information on Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect, you can visit their website, civilityandrespect, all one word, .org.
Looking at your health now, with fall here, there are many popular activities, but one especially has benefits for your diet. Mary Evers has more.
Thanks, guys. Fall's officially underway here, and along with the foliage and crisp weather comes a bunch of fall activities to do with the whole family. Apple picking is usually a fan favorite, and according to Cleveland Clinic's dietitian Kate Patton, it is also a healthy one.
Apples are well known for really just vitamin C, as well as fiber, but what they're really well known for is a lot of the antioxidants that they contain.
Patton says that soluble fibers, like the ones found in apples, can help maintain healthy cholesterol levels. When it comes to choosing which color apple to eat, no one color is healthier than the others, but it's important to eat a variety. And if you want to mix things up, Patton says that a baked apple can be good for you, as long as you're aware that if you were to put it into something like a pie, that there will be additional sugar and fat to worry about, so you need to make sure to only eat it in moderation. She also suggests dicing it up to add it to things like oatmeal and salads to add flavor. If you are concerned about the pesticides on your apples, Patton suggests making sure you stick to organic ones or at least wash them thoroughly before you eat them. Patton lastly adds that while it is okay to peel your apple before eating it, there are also nutritional benefits to eating it with the skin.
There definitely is a lot more of those antioxidants in the skin because, you know, the apples have all different colors, so the more color you get, the more nutritional value and, you know, antioxidants you get. So if you can, that's great, but there is, you know, good nutritional value from the inside of the apple too.
If you can't get out to pick your own apples, Patton says that buying them in the store doesn't impact the nutritional value, but apples picked closer to home will be tastier. For Bridgewater Review, I'm Mary Evers.
The Old Bridgewater Historical Society is looking to preserve a 366-year-old document. The letter sent from England to Bridgewater was written by Mary Hayward to her son John, one of the town's original settlers. This document had been in the Historical Society's possession until 2011 when the safety box it was in was sent to the State Treasurer's office as unclaimed property.
The document is now back at the Historical Society. However, due to its fragile state, it needs to be preserved. The OBHS is looking to raise $3,950 to preserve one of the oldest documents in the history of Bridgewater. If you'd like more information or would like to donate, visit www.mightycause.com/story/Hayward. You may remember a community effort helped preserve the Bridgewater deed last year.
Turning to today's tech, it may seem impossible to make online shopping easier with its convenience and next-day delivery, but hold on, here in 2018, there's always more. The social media app Snapchat is teaming up with Amazon to help you buy something you may spot during your day-to-day activities. The process is simple. Open the Snapchat app, point out what you want to order, take a picture, and a window will pop up from Amazon with ordering options. This is currently available for only a small area in the United States, and it is expected to grow. Amazon will give Snapchat a portion of the money generated through the new partnership. So it's pretty cool. You can just do anything. I could take a Snapchat of our shirts, and our shirts could pop up on Amazon.
That would be interesting, although I feel
maybe
like...
the clearance rack, but...
maybe the clearance rack. When we return, a holiday favorite is making its way back to town in December.
And coming up in sports, the local softball league takes the field for a fallen officer, plus a look at the fall sports at Bridgewater State and Bridgewater Rainham.
How long have we been married there? For 76 years. He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years that we have been married. We decided on Meals on Wheels because at my age, I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
The fall sports season is just about halfway done, and both BSU and BR are having a strong showing. But before we start off with our fall sports coverage, let's recap the 5th annual Bridgewater Men's Softball League tournament. This year's tournament benefited the family of fallen Weymouth Police Sergeant Michael Chesna, who was killed in the line of duty earlier this year. 8 teams came together to play at Scotland Field in Bridgewater and Borden Field in Rainham on Saturday, September 22nd in a double elimination tournament. Ballbusters went on to win the tournament over the Tiger Sharks in thrilling fashion. So far, the tournament has raised nearly $3,000 for the family, and T-shirts are still being sold for $10. If you're interested in buying a T-shirt, email me here at the station at bberard@btvaccess.com. And one final note from the Bridgewater Men's Softball League, a big congratulations to Suns, Glen Electric, and Jim's Automotive for winning their respective divisions this season in the Bridgewater Men's Softball League. Now on to fall sports. We'll start with the Bridgewater State Bears. The Bears football team got their first MASCAC win in convincing fashion on the 21st after destroying Fitchburg State 42-15. The Bears had 466 yards of total offense, thanks in large part to the outstanding play of Jack Levanchi. Levanchi had 81 yards and 2 touchdowns, but even more impressive is Levanchi becomes just the 4th BSU receiver ever to achieve 2,000 yards receiving in his career. Bridgewater Rainham alum Stefano D'Amelio was 7 of 13 passing for 166 yards and threw for 3 TDs as well in the win. The lone bright spot for the Falcons was this nice one-handed interception by Malik Crawford at the end of the first half. The Bears are now 2-2 on the year, matching their win total from last year, and now they'll go on the road to battle the Owls in Westfield. Now on to the team that is having quite the turnaround season. The Bears men's soccer team had just 5 wins last year, and this year they already have 4. Now the Bears are on a little bit of a skid, losing their last 3 matches, 2 of which were in the conference. Brockton Boxer alum Kessie Alves lead the Bears in scoring with 3 goals on the year, and Australian Kane Moran has 2, as does Kevin Roberts. The Bears' next match is at home versus Fitchburg tomorrow at noon, and that game can be seen on the Bears Sports Network and on BTV. The Lady Bears Soccer Club is off to a hot start as well, as they are 4-2-1 on the year and are currently riding a 3-game winning streak and are undefeated in MASCAC play. Junior Alana Vincent leads the Lady Bears with 4 goals on the year and scored twice in the Bears' 4-2 victory over Framingham. Moving on to the high school now, the football team has finally broke through and got their first victory on the year with a 27-14 win at New Bedford, giving them a 1-2 record on the season. The Trojans have this weekend off and will play at home next Friday against OCL foe Dartmouth. And the girls' soccer team is also off to another hot start this year. They currently have an undefeated record of 5-0, outscoring their opponents 16-2 on the year as of right now. BTV will be broadcasting their game on October 4th when they host the West Bridgewater Lady Wildcats, the same Wildcats team that BR started the season off with a 5-0 victory over. That's all for sports. Scott and John, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brian. To your news and notes now. The public is invited to attend an information session hosted by the developers of the McElwain School, MPZ Development LLC, and Capstone Communities Development LLC. The redevelopment project will preserve the historic McElwain School and allow for a new residential building at the back of the site. The development also includes the property located at 242 Main Street, which the developers currently own and operate as a 3-family rental property. The new development will create 57 mixed-use income housing units, public open space, and additional on-site amenities for the new residential community and the community at large. At this meeting, concept plans will be presented and the permitting process will be discussed. Members of the public are welcome to attend and get information and ask questions. The meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, October 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Bridgewater Public Library.
Also at the library, a presentation by David Moore from the Bridgewater Historical Commission. Where's Bridgewater? We'll look at how the town came to be. The event begins at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 9th. For the 4th year, BSU will join more than 95 communities across the country in a national conversation on China. The event will feature speakers who will talk about the trade war between the United States and China. Former U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice will also join the audience via webcast. This event is open to the public and takes place on Tuesday, October 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Dana Faria Science and Mathematics Center Auditorium on 24 Park Ave. Certainly a lot going on that night.
The Garden Club is bringing back their popular holiday house tour. 4 houses will be decorated by club members and the homeowners. Tours will begin at 10 a.m. on Saturday, December 1st and continue until 3 p.m. A light lunch will be served at the Senior Center for those attending. Tickets will be $30 in advance and $35 the day of the tour.
And while we're talking holidays, Christmas on the Common will be back on Sunday, December 2nd from 12 to 4 p.m. on the Bridgewater Town Common. This annual holiday event continues to grow in popularity year after year. Once again, there'll be a Christmas bazaar for all of your holiday shopping needs, photos with Santa, pony rides, and a parade. Always a fun event, that's for sure. The BBA is also working with the Music Alley Board to include live entertainment in the alley this year.
That's all the time we have for this edition of the Bridgewater Review.
We hope you'll join us in October for our next episode of the program. You can stay up to date with our local news on Bridgewater Now, updates online, and on our Facebook page. For now, I'm Scott Olson.
And I'm John Luck. Thanks for watching. Well, coming up on October 20th at the Academy Building at 9:30 in the morning, the Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect will be holding a workshop about bystanders, and I have Beryl Domingo here joining me today to talk a little bit about the workshop. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
So for people that are interested in this workshop, what can they expect?
Well, first of all, what is a bystander? And oftentimes people think of it as a witness. It's somebody who sees something, and most commonly is when you're witnessing an accident, right? And somebody says, oh, what did you see? And you describe what you've seen. So an active bystander is actually somebody who sees something, and usually it's something that they feel is unfair or wrong or inappropriate, and they do something about it. So this is an active bystander. So there are sort of bystanders, and then there's active bystanders. Most folks are bystanders because we all have witnessed situations and incidents where we feel somewhat uncomfortable with the content or what's happening in front of our eyes. We're not always sure what to do. So this training helps to firstly explore your own feelings about witnessing things. A lot of times it's about, one of the first things they ask you to do is to think about a time that you were the target of harm doing. And they also use language that's kind of different from what we normally use. Like we normally would say victim, but the training tells us to use the term target. So somebody who's targeted, and then the person who is the targeter or the harasser is called the harm doer. So the training kind of helps you figure out, can you think of a situation where you've been sort of a target? So then you think about a situation, and it can be something not very major, could be anything. Then it turns it around and says, now think of a time when you were actually a harm doer, when you've done harm to somebody else. And it's amazing that usually in these trainings, everyone has had an incident of when they have been a harm doer. So basically it comes down to that we all do things at times that we're not very proud of, and that we would regret, or that we hope that nobody has witnessed.
and it kind of goes back to the beginning of how the BCCR actually began, because there was an incident at the post office, I believe it was a few years ago at this point, when there was harassing going on, and a lot of people saw it but didn't do anything about it.
Exactly. This was actually a situation where somebody was, a customer in the post office was sort of yelling and screaming at a couple. This couple appeared to be from the Middle East. We don't know, but that's sort of how the witnesses were describing the couple. And the people in the post office were just really frozen, practically, from not knowing what to do, total inaction. Now, when you don't do something and you're witnessing something like that, the message can sometimes be that you are condoning the behavior, or that you're just passive and you're not really you don't really care that this is happening. Which is not necessarily true, because these folks in the post office were obviously very bothered by it, and one of the people actually posted it on Facebook and felt a need to apologize on behalf of sort of all of Bridgewater, because this happened in Bridgewater, to say that this is not what we do in this community. We're a very warm and welcoming community. We're a civil community. We don't see these kind of actions. And I think the folks were really shocked at that during that event. And that kind of gave the rise to Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect that formed, it was about 2.5 years ago now. And one of the first things that we actually did was to work with the town council to have a proclamation issued, really just reiterating what we already know about Bridgewater, that this is a town that respects people, we treat people respectfully, we treat people civil, and we welcome people from all walks of life and all kinds of, in fact, I have a copy of it here, and it pretty much says, it declares the town of Bridgewater, Massachusetts, a community of civility, where intolerant speech and behavior are unacceptable, thus ensuring that our town remains a respectful place to live, work, attend school, visit, and conduct business. And I think that kind of sums up what we know about our town and about the residents of our town. But it is unfortunate that there are sometimes incidents that we see, whether it's in Bridgewater or in other communities, it happens.
Well, this is the great thing about this workshop is the fact that you can take what you learn in this workshop coming up on October 20th, and you can use it not just in Bridgewater, but you can go out of town and you can have situations like this as well. Now, this is almost a partnership, I believe, with Quabbin Medication from Orange. You're working with them. Can you just explain their role in this?
So Quabbin Mediation is an organization that's been around at least a decade. They're located in Orange, Mass, so they're serving the entire Massachusetts Commonwealth. They started out, I think, initially working with families and individuals on sort of mediation when you have, say, a divorce situation. Mm-hmm. Couples can go there to mediate, conflict resolution, but they've expanded their work to reach much broader audiences. They work with groups in towns, communities, in schools, anti-bullying programs they've established, and they've done that in schools. They have done, they work with veterans around different issues that veterans deal with. So it's really quite a wide-ranging type of agency with lots of services. Now the community, this bystander training piece came about when communities began to contact them and say, you know, you do this anti-bullying stuff in schools and you do all this other kinds of trainings. Can you do trainings in communities where ordinary people want to know how to respond to a situation that they feel is just really wrong or just really inappropriate? Because people have begun to see more and more of these incidents over time. This is not new. And so Quabbin developed a curriculum, and it's a peer training. So basically, they train people from the community to do the training with communities people. And they feel that makes it more real because you can bring examples and issues and scenarios that really make sense for the community that you're in. And they've actually done a training for trainers for us. Mm-hmm. So we now have a hub for the southeastern Massachusetts. We have trainers that can actually conduct these workshops. Quabbin Mediation is the owner of the curriculum, so anybody who does the training actually is working as a volunteer in this capacity for them. And the training that we're going to do in October will actually be conducted by 2 residents of Bridgewater.
So if anybody's interested in taking part in this workshop, is there anybody they need to contact, or is it just kind of a show up at the Academy building type of situation?
Oh, yes. No, they have to register. This training is actually, there's an online registration. I'm going to send you a copy of a flyer, and maybe you can put that up. Mm-hmm. And it's the online registration then registers with Quabbin, and they'll know how many people have registered. And the trainers will also then know how many people have registered, and there's a limit. We have 35 is the limit for the training, and it is at the Academy building. Beautiful setting for a nice training. It's on a Saturday morning, so we think a lot more people will be available, can utilize the training. So definitely register and register early because there is a space limit for the training.
And if anybody's interested in talking to the BCCR, maybe joining you guys as well, not just for the workshop, but anything else you guys may do in the future, what's the easiest way to get in contact with you?
Well, we have a website and a Facebook page. It's called civilityandrespect.org. So civilityandrespect.org is actually our contact information, as well as our website is also civilityandrespect.org. And Facebook, I think you can either Google Bridgewater Civility and Respect and it would come up. We do have someone who will check for emails when messages come through and can respond to that. Some of the stuff that I forgot to mention about what the training involves, because a lot of times people think, well, I probably know what to do when I see a situation, because I'll probably just say, stop that, or what are you doing, or don't do that, or yell at the person who's doing so. I just wanted to emphasize that this training really, number one, it stresses safety. So not to get involved in a situation when it's possibly going to be unsafe for you as the bystander, or escalate the situation potentially. because we're not superheroes, we're simply just ordinary citizens, and we just want to be sure that people are, when people are targeted, that we support that person. So it promotes sort of that, it empowers people that attend the training to know there are ways that you can, in fact, intervene, and you can do it safely. You can do it with very simple things. And I'm going to give you an example of a very simple intervention that someone did. This was actually reported in the Boston Globe about a year and a half ago, where they did a whole article about this bystander training. And they used this example, this woman, she said she was in the Target, she was, shopping, and she heard a commotion at the front, at the cashier. And there was some man that was just yelling at the cashier and being very belligerent and certainly being extremely unreasonable with whatever the issue was. And she could see that it was just getting worse and worse, and the poor cashier was getting scared. And she thought that, wait a minute, I did attend this bystander training, I can do something. And what this training teaches us, it's to analyze the situation. You analyze what's going on, you evaluate what your actions, what you can do, and you develop sort of an action plan. But it all happens very quickly. And you can do something to interrupt what's happening. And she took her shopping cart and just kind of pushed it forward, right between the two, the guy and the cashier, and she said, "Excuse me," to the cashier, blocking out this individual, and said, "Can you help me find where I can find this item that I'm looking for?" In a calm voice, and simply
Didn't really
just
escalate the confrontation.
the guy just basically everybody calmed down. The cashier looked relieved because now she can focus on her job and say, "Oh yeah, you can find this in aisle 20 or wherever." And the guy, wind taken out of their sails, and they're calm, and they've been able to walk out of the store with it, not having been berated themselves. So it's teaching us simple ways in which we can do things and say things without harming anybody else.
Because you don't know where or when these situations are going to pop up. It could pop up a year from now, or it could pop up a week after this workshop. I feel like this is something that you can keep in the back of your mind. Hey, I learned this at the workshop, and you can use it to try and de-escalate a situation like you talked about in that Boston Globe article.
Yeah, it really does come back. Somebody once said it's almost like learning CPR, but you know what to do when you actually have to apply it. And this is the same thing. You may not experience these kinds of things on a daily basis, but we all know that we've witnessed harassment from time to time, and now you feel as if you can actually do something.
All right, so it sounds like a very informative session coming up, informative workshop coming up on October 20th, again at the Academy Building, coming up at 9:30 in the morning.
And this was done through a grant, through the Community Initiative grant with the university, Bridgewater State University. So it's really great for Bridgewater State University to provide this kind of resource for groups like us to be able to do this kind of thing in Bridgewater. And we're co-sponsored, not just BCCR, but also the Unitarian First Parish Church of Bridgewater, as well as the Center for Middle East Studies at Bridgewater State University. So those are the sponsors for the training.
All right, and you see the ways that you can get involved with the workshop on your screen, also the Bridgewater Citizens for Civility and Respect. Beryl, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.